Let me get that so that it's not inversed. Mm. Lori?
Good morning.
Just reminding to record.
Should I write down his names? As they come up?
Okay. Oh, can anyone hear me? It's echoing. So I need to figure out how to stop the echo. Switch this on. Hold on. Is that because they have their mics on? No, it has to do with my mics. Oh, maybe I need to just bring down here. Okay, how's that? Can anyone hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Tamara, can you hear me? Please unmute Tamara. Tamara, I can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself? Just a minute. Okay, Tamara, can you hear me?
I'm trying. I'm on my cell phone.
Oh, I can hear you now. Can everyone hear
okay.
me? Lori K, can you hear me?
Yes.
Tamara, can you hear me? Leslie,
Yes, I
you hear
can.
me? Leslie, can you? Oh, ask to unmute. Leslie, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yay. Lori, you?
Yes.
Yay. Okay, we'll admit Denise. Hello, Denise. Ask to unmute for a minute, Denise. We're still figuring out
Okay,
sound.
no problem.
Oh, we can hear you. Yay.
Yeah, I had it on mute.
Okay, I'm going to test my. Find out who else is with you. Oh, who's with you? Denise, you've got somebody. Oh, no, she's just got her iPad.
Oh, no, it's just my iPad.
So you have two devices going on.
Do
I'm-
I?
I'm going to test my camera. So we'll try this out and check our glare factor, which sometimes is a factor. Let me move this over here. I'm going to switch my camera. Somebody's jolly.
Yeah, I got.
Who is that? Okay, can you still hear me?
I can.
Did somebody say yes?
I did. Can you hear me?
Oh, it's music in the background.
Yeah, I hold on. Alexa, stop. All right.
All
I won't, that way it won't confuse you.
All right. So here's my camera with my lovely camera in front of my face. Can you all see me? Hello there.
Yes.
Okay, let's flip down to our surface. Very blurry. So maybe I need to take off this. Okay, there. Okay, we'll practice with lights and without lights. Hang on my keyboard for a minute. I tried this last night when it was dark, but it doesn't have the daylight shining down on our project, so I couldn't really tell. This is a lot better. Let's highlight this. Oh, Denise, you're the center star. How do I make me the star?
Sharon, I'm logging into my computer instead of my cell phone, so I'm redoing it right now, okay? So I'm gonna hang up on my cell phone.
Okay. Okay. Can everybody see the gingerbread? I just pinned that one right there.
Recording in progress.
Okay, put some light on it. It might be too glary. We'll have to decide which is better. Give me your opinions on what you prefer. How's that?
It's good.
Now, when we get to the part where we're gonna have problems with the glare is when we do the hat. So I might turn off the light for the hat. Yeah. We'll probably turn it down like that. Is that a little bit better, actually? Does that look better overall, actually?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, great. For us here in this room, it's a little bit dark because I took out one of my lights because it glares. So for me, I feel like I'm in Gloomsville. But if you guys can see great, then I'm happy. I'm thrilled. Okay. We'll just fiddle around with this. Don't get seasick, anyone. I might get seasick. I have to watch. We'll try to get it as close as we can, show you as much detail as possible. Is that good? Here's our little people. Let's try our little people. We might zoom in closer when we do our little people. We'll just experiment throughout the day. Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Do we have any more people to admit? Okay. Now, just for fun, well, I'll wait till the class starts. I'm going to introduce my sister to you. Hold on. Is this just the same as that? Because I can just watch that. Yeah, you can just watch that. Yeah. I guess you could join from there. It's the same account though. But they're two different computers. You'd have to join from that computer. But you could, you want to? I put this in the middle so we can both see it perfect. Okay. Now here's a question for you. I have grandkids, so I blocked myself. Tamara, you have grandkids? Oh, so you blocked yourself from being heard and seen? I'll be in and out while we watching the recording. Oh, got it. No problem. That's okay. We've got others too that are going to paint with the recording. And so they get to hear all this blah, 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 blah beforehand. When I send them the recording, we'll tell them there's about a half hour worth of junk beforehand as we're getting all set up. But it's better that it's recording. It does say it's recording, right? Recording, yes. I turned it on auto recording because here's my confession. I'll turn this back so I can talk to you. Audio, no video. All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here's my true confession. Oh, here's my camera, but I'm looking at the bigger screen. So one time I taught this class. It was a disaster. I mean, the class, I'll make this bigger so I can see. This is fine. We can see big. The class itself wasn't a disaster. I mean, everybody showed up and it was fun and the piece was fun and everything. But we kept losing internet connection throughout. So that part was a disaster. And we were just going along our merry way. It was called Q-Pig. It was this Valentine's pig. And we did about an hour and a half of it. And it was like a 6-hour class.
Ooh.
And the internet crashed. And so, but we didn't know it for a little bit. And so then we realized it and we stopped teaching, got the internet all back up and going again. And then I started teaching from where I left off. So now the recording was in 2 pieces, right? And I told them that I would have to go back and re-record that middle piece. So then the recording was going to be in 3 pieces, right? So then I started teaching from where we left off and forgot to turn on the recording. And then the internet died again. So I taught the last part of the class. And by then some of the students had dropped off. And if you don't have enough people in there, you can't flip your camera around the way that you need to. And the last part of the class recorded only my face and not the project.
Oh, no, no.
So after everybody had left, you know, and you have to download everything from the cloud, I thought, well, I'll piece this whole thing together. I only had the first hour and a half of class. I had to re-record with no students talking through the whole rest of the thing. And they got like 5 separate recordings. Okay, kids, here's your class. Video 1, video 2, video 3. It was a mess.
Oh.
I stayed up till midnight that night, but they did get their recording.
Oh.
So this time when they had to auto record, we're doing it. Oh, okay. I'm not sure if our friend from Australia is going to join us today. I told her her name is Nancy, and she asked me to give her a 24-hour notice of when class was going to start because she didn't understand how to figure out the time zone difference.
Oh.
And so me being the international whiz, that's choke, 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 and a laugh that I am, I went to the world clock, and she lives in a town that I can't remember, but it's in New South Wales, Australia. So I put Salt Lake City, Utah to New South Wales, Utah times. And figured out those times, and I sent those to her. And then I set in my phone an alarm clock to send myself an alarm to tell her, okay, this is when that went off. Class starts in 24 hours from now, because she requested that I do that. So I have no idea if I got it right or wrong. If she shows up, well, I'll give her a round of applause. Maybe give myself a round of applause for remembering. Okay, my sister Doreen's going to watch to see who shows up. And, excuse me, I might need to drink throughout as we go along. Let me introduce my sidekick to you. One of my very best friends in the world and my sister Doreen Wilson. I have to switch the camera just a minute. Blah, blah.
I can just go like that.
Oh, she can. Oh, oh yeah, come on over. Hello. Isn't she fabulous? She's my younger sister, and she paints like a whiz. She's very, very good. We actually started painting on the same day from the same teacher. And I was a mess. Remember, I kept dropping my brush. Dude kept telling me, you're such a spaz. Because I couldn't even hold on to the brush, but here we are, all these years later, still painting. So anyway, we've had our fun adventures. Not sure what you're able to find in ways of supplies, but I thought that I would just start out by talking about a few of the brushes that I like to use and the reasons why. I know that if you're here, you probably have had some experience with painting. I don't think we have any brand newbies here. And so I don't need to start from scratch. And you each have developed your own favorite techniques and tools, which is fine. But I'm just going to share with you the things I like. And if you pick up some tips and tools along the way, that's what classes are all about as far as I'm concerned. The first thing that I like to point out is the kinds of brushes that I like to use for dry brushing and stippling. And I use those terms interchangeably. Sorry to keep coughing. I apologize. I didn't anticipate that would be a thing.
Echoey.
Oh, am I echoing? No, I think it's just because of this volume here. We hear an echo. We don't hear it as bad as we did, but we hear it slightly. But I'm going to try one thing. It's coming from my phone. Anyway. That's where it's coming from. Let me turn the file off. I don't have to do that. Oh, I got speaker on. Maybe that took care of it. I don't know if it did. Did it? No, not really. Okay. Can you still hear me, everybody? Okay. All right. When I stipple and I dry brush, there are different kinds of brushes that you can use. I'm going to flip the camera down so you can see what I've got in my hand. Video, flip. And I moved my camera, so I have to refocus it again. Okay, just while I show these, I'll have my light on. You can see them a little bit better. Okay, a lot of people like to stencil with brushes that are cut off flat at the top like these. These are stencil brushes. That's what they're made for. And these have a very specific purpose, and they're fine. And a lot of people use those for all kinds of reasons. You can dry brush with these, and of course, go through stencils with these. The thing about these brushes that I do not prefer is that the ends are whacked off flat. And that means whenever you put paint on the end of your brushes, and especially if you're going through a stencil, and we're going to be using stencils today. If I can grab one of my stencils really quick, is when you take a flat-ended stencil and put it against the edge of something you're stenciling, you got all those bristles hitting at the same time. And in order to get coverage, you have to push down with that brush. And that means that those bristles on the outside edges are being forced outward. Look what happens as I push on it with my finger. See those bristles pushing outward? And that has a tendency to push those bristles underneath the edges of those stencils. So for those kinds of reasons, I do not prefer these kind of brushes to use in stenciling. What I prefer rather is a brush that's shaped like this. This brush is rounded. See, it's rounded all the way, goes all the way around. It has a rounded dome shape, and it's still just as dense and still just as firm as a stencil brush. But now when I hit on a surface with these, it's just the longest hairs that hit first. And then the hairs on the outside are going to be the last things to hit against the surface. And you don't have that same splay. So they're going to be less likely to creep underneath your stencils. The same thing applies to these brushes that I recommended, these crescent brushes that were made previously by Lowell Cornell. They are now made by King Art, who was the original maker of the Lowell Cornell brushes. And these I use in the same manner. Notice that they're dome shaped. Notice that they're dome shaped. They're just as dense. They're just narrower, and they're easier to get into small areas. We'll be using these a lot today too. Okay. So just so that we don't have to stop and explain what we're doing as we go along, I wanted to give you a brief little intro. Now this is a mezzaluna. I pulled this one out so that you could see they're similar. This is made by Dynasty. The bristles have a little bit different texture, but if you're unable to get your hands on one of these types, you can use a mezzaluna. I don't like them as well, but many people love them. So there you go. We'll talk about liner brushes when we get closer to the end. Oh, this particular brush that I recommended. This one originally was made by Lowell Cornell. It's now made by King Art. Again, the same people that made Lowell Cornell. You know, this is kind of blurry. Where's my autofocus? Yeah, was it better? Is that better? It's okay.
Just the light.
Oh, that's better. Oh, way to go. Okay. Way to go, me. Okay. So this brush is cut off flat at the top, like we talked about. This brush is different on the end. This is a softer bristle. And we're going to be using these to get a cinnamony look. Look how soft those bristles are as compared to these. And they're further apart so that when we hit with these bristles, and they will hit all at once, they will give more of a splattered, more open, airy look. And that's how we're going to get our cinnamony look on our gingerbread today. So that's why I did recommend this brush. If you are not able to get this brush, because they were a little bit pricey, you can use a flat brush like this. You're going to have to be really careful to offload a ton of paint. And we'll talk about that as we go along. Okay. I'm going to unjoin my cell phone, and I think that might solve the problem that we are experiencing here. Okay. How's that? We can't hear ourselves anymore. Can you still hear me? Everyone? Great. Thanks. Okay. Are we ready, Freddie? Okay, welcome to the world of gingerbread. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with some light buttermilk. So go ahead and get out some light buttermilk on your palette. And we're going to use a brush for dry brushing. These are the kinds of things that I recommended that we use. If you don't have that, you're going to use your favorite dry brushing brush or a stencil brush. Let me give you one more tip that I like to use for dry brushing. There is a difference in paper towels. When I offload my excess paint before I dry brush, I want you to see the difference in the texture in these paper towels. Let me try the light one more time. Okay, it does show up better in light. This is a Viva paper towel. The surface is very smooth and it's pretty cloth-like. I'm going to hold this one up. This one is more like a Bounty. This is a Sam's Club paper towel. Can you see the texture on that? Can you see the difference? This paper towel is what I like for dry brushing and offloading because the texture on here picks up a lot of paint more easily than the soft one. But this one pulls water out of your brush better, the Viva. So I like that better for floating. Okay, moving on from the paper towel discussion. All right. Okay, get some light buttermilk in your palette. And we're going to load up on the end of your brush. Now, some people are not sure how much paint to load in. Let me pull this in. I just dip the tips. Okay, it's got a dome tip, and I have not put that much paint on there. Can you see that? This is dry. Do not use this brush wet. We don't have Mickey today. I miss Mickey Moon. Oh, one of my customers. Okay, so after you've dipped this, you're going to take this straight to your paper towel and you're going to start pouncing. I want you to think like a sewing machine needle. Okay? Sewing machine goes up and down, up and down, up and down. You're going to start taking some of this excess paint off on your paper towel. Now remember, this is the first time that you have dipped this brush into paint and it's dry. So you're not going to have a lot of paint that started to build up in the ferrule yet. Your goal here is to make sure that you leave very little traces of paint. I pounced up and down first to get some of the paint worked in and around in a stippling fashion. And then I'm just going to wipe for a minute to make sure that there isn't any blobs of excess paint. Once it looks like I'm really dry, I'm going to go over to my gingerbread. And I'm going to just lightly start tapping around, and I'm going to start leaving some coverage here. You're going to start seeing some lightness show up on the legs. You kind of keep the color highlighting to the middle areas. You don't have to take it out to the edge. Don't worry if you run into the icing, because the icing is already like buttermilk, right? So you want to use a kind of larger brush so you can just move along quickly. When it starts to get pretty dry and it looks like there's nothing much left in there, and you can move over to another section to test, to quote unquote test, and it feels like there's nothing left, guess what? There still is stuff left in your brush. When it gets to be that dry, then you can very lightly, and I mean very, very lightly, go back over the area that you kind of stippled in and start swirling with a dry brushing motion, and you'll see that it will leave kind of a really light dusting. And there really truly is paint left in there, and that's how you get a really softened, dry brushy look. Okay? So that was the first time we dipped that paint in there, and that was pretty dry. Let's repeat what we did before. Not much paint. Pounce, pounce, pounce. Now this time, you're going to have more paint in your brush because it started to move up the ferrule. Okay? So make sure that before you start your pouncing, you've taken enough out on your paper towel, and your first pounces are going to be with a very light pressure, because you don't know for sure how much paint you're going to deposit until you kind of test it super light. And that the same thing will be true every time you load your brush from here on out. Your first pounces better be super light, or you're going to be surprised and have globs of paint. So, rule of thumb, light pounces, light pressure, especially right after you load your brush. Okay? All right, we're going to move all over the gingerbread. We're going to do his face, his arms, his feet, and then we'll come back and re-highlight certain areas. Now, for a minute there, you're going to think this looks more like maybe a burnt sugar cookie, because he won't have the gingerbready color at first. But we are going to resolve that later on by using a wash technique, which we'll talk about later. So don't worry that it looks too white. Don't worry that it looks too light and you think that looks really funky. Just keep on a pouncing, because we're trying to differentiate the highlights from the shading. Okay, that's pretty good on his feet. We'll come back and touch up some areas in a minute. Okay, I'm going to move on to the arms. Do the middle of the arms. Try to keep it off of the clothing. You don't need to go really close because we're going to shade next to the clothing. Again, one nice thing about not having to keep away from the icing is that it's the same color. You know, I've got my little original gingerbread right here, and it keeps getting in my way. I gotta move it out of the way there. Now, for those of you attending today, I forgot to tell you that I always give away prizes to the people that are attending live in class. And I'm going to give away one prize every hour. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people here. Almost all of you will win a prize. Woohoo! So that's exciting. So stick with me as much as you can, and you never know what the day might hold. Okay, just keep going, reloading your paint as necessary. During, you're going to remind us when it's, do we need to set a timer? Oh, we can set a timer. Should we set a timer?
Sure.
We're going to set a timer for our drawings. Let me go to my little clockaroo.
I can do it on my phone so you can.
Oh, you want to do it on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay. And we're already 20 minutes into class. So whatever you want. When the buzzer goes off, we we'll have a drawing. How exciting. Okay. Yeah, I'm ready to admit, let's just watch, because Mickey Lynn wasn't sure how to watch.
No.
Will you? I'm gonna have you text Mickey Lynn. Let me make sure she's not trying to text me. Okay, will you just write to her and say, I'm writing for Sharon. Are you planning to join her class? And then watch it and see if she just doesn't know how to Zoom because she's never Zoomed before. Okay, just trying to help a student who may not know how to do Zoom. Okay, moving right along. Okay. Well, everyone's quiet. Okay, now on the face. Okay, now. Okay, let me say one thing. The reason why I gave you these stencils, did everybody use their stencils for their frosting to help base coat? Okay. When and if this ever gets sold again to the John Q public, I don't know what I'll do about that. They are not going to get these stencils. So you guys have got things, and they're not going to get a lot of these stencils. You guys have got things that I am not going to sell otherwise, but I did it to make our class experience go so much more quickly. And we're going to have to use these throughout the day to touch up our gingerbread colors. So don't worry if we get extra colors on those, we're going to have to touch up. If I were not doing this in a classroom situation, I would have done all the icing afterward. But here we are. So if any gets on the eyes, or any place that you didn't really want it to, do not worry about it. Okay? So don't lose 1 minute of sleep over anything. Okay, so I have got significantly more paint in my brush now. I just went between my eyes. And there is a little bit that I got onto the black, knowing that we will touch that up after I don't get real concerned. You kind of want to get the center of the face area the brightest. But first off, the first round of stippling and or dry brushing is just to get some speckly color all over pretty evenly. That's what we're trying to accomplish at first. And if you think about a cookie or baked stuff, they don't look completely solid one color. There's some texture in there, and we want this, like I mentioned, the cinnamony kind of look. We want to give it some kind of texture. Okay. Don't forget to go a little bit down here on the neck, and if you can, keep it off of the off the apron. If you want to use something to block that with, that would be fine. I'm using these little Chris Hoy tools.
Cut out the apron for that.
Oh, that's going to be for later.
Oh.
Yeah. We're going to do some splattering later. Oh, I forgot to cut an apron.
You can, I can put one.
Well, I turn that back on. I'm going to have Doreen cut me an apron because I forgot to cut my own pattern out after I told you to. And I think I threw away my original one that I cut out. Okay, 6071. Okay, so now when you make sure your Okay. It is right at the top. Over, right to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right. Click, click. Okay, file. So go to the, no, yeah. Go over to the left corner, to the 3 lines. Okay. Okay. You hand me that mouse right there. Says B right there. Just a minute. I'm going to have her print me out and cut me out an apron because I forgot. Guess what? I think I should have signed in because it thinks you're not me. Okay, just a minute. Thank you, people. Just a minute. It's 12. You want to go? Let's see, 10, 11, and 12. So back up. So click on the box.
Me?
Yeah.
Click this?
Yes. Now back up. Hit the delete. And go 10 through 12. Okay, take your stencil brush and make sure there's not too much paint in it. I had too much paint there, as you can see. And very lightly dry brush over the surface to brighten the center area of the face. Okay, now I am going to have to touch up my eyes, so I'm just going to kind of ignore that for a minute. This is getting the center area of the face brighter. Okay, now I've got a lot of paint that's built up in here now. I haven't reloaded anything, and it is depositing quite a bit of paint on here. So that is what we anticipated. Here's tape. All right, so now we want, so the center of the face is kind of the brightest. You don't need to go out to the edges. Kind of keep it about maybe ½ inch away from the edges. And kind of even it out a bit. Okay, now she looks kind of spooky. She's not a ghost. She does look a little strange. Don't worry about it yet. There's a lot of layers to come. Okay, now go to the arms, do the same thing. We're going to lightly smooth over everything that we've stippled. And we're going to make the center of the arms brighter. And smooth it out a bit. Like this. It's okay if we get right next down, close down to our icing. That's just fine. We're going to have that all shaded up anyway. And in a minute, we're going to do some highlighting on the toes. Okay, my brush is getting pretty dry. I may have to actually add a little more paint in there. Okay. Scary looking face. My face looks a little brighter in real life than she does on camera. Okay, let me see. I'm going to add a little bit more pressure now just to see what I can get out without having to reload. So when you think you're really not having anything left, Just really get in and scrub-a-roo. And then you can tell for sure. Yep, I'm pretty dry. Okay, I do need to add just a tiny bit more to dry brush. But again, since this has a lot of paint in it, I'm really going to offload quite a bit of paint onto this paper towel before I very lightly try to dry brush. There we go. Super light. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You got a trash can down there by you. Super, super light. Okay. All right. So now she looks like a ghost, but that's fine. Now I want you to highlight just a little bit. So reload your brush a little bit. We're going to brighten kind of the tops of her toe areas with just a little bit of dry brushing. And we're going to go ahead and pull that off the edge. And I'm just doing that really softly. And I'm kind of pulling that up and over the edge. We want that just a little bit brighter because the light source is coming from up above. And it's going to hit her toes first, her toesies. Her little toesies. Going to hit the edge of her little toesies first. Okay. So go ahead and very softly brighten that up first. Now, because this is on a cutout piece of wood, I personally like to carry my color over on the sides. If this were on a flat, like a canvas or something, you wouldn't need to worry about that. But to me, it always looks much better if you carry the color over on the sides. Some people don't do that, but it's just me. So, to me, to my eyeballs, it seems to look more complete if I carry the color over on the sides. So I shall do that. There we go. Okay. Now, we've got the theory of the light coming down and hitting first. So what else? So think about this. Think about this. What else is it going to hit? Hands, right? Hands and arms. So go along the same thing along the top parts of your hands and your arms. Okay. We want to capture that sunlight. And now you can see my brush is getting drier, which I sort of love because it really is soft like this. You can see that what it leaves behind is just kind of special, very smooth, really smooth looking. I like it when it's like this. Doreen says, yeah, she likes it too. That's how you get. Now, these brushes will leave, as the paint works itself out, we'll leave a little bit of residue behind. And sometimes when these brushes are new, you'll have a few hairs that fall out. And so don't even lose sleep over that. That happens a bit, especially in brushes that are really densely, what's the word? Not populated. I don't know, just really dense, I guess. I'm going to pick up a little more paint and I'm going to scrubby doodle. Scrub it out. Doreen, since you are our prize person, you get to pick the prizes per hour too.
Okay.
Woohoo, she's taking this seriously. That is my sister for you. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the edges. So that only just takes a little second. I'm going to pull it on over. Look how close to the camera this is.
Looks good. Should we do a prize?
You want to do a prize? Woohoo. All right. Which prize? You choose first. You decide which prize and then
Drum roll.
now, well, you've got your list of attendees.
Okay.
So you close your eyes.
I'm just gonna close my eyes and pick someone.
Okay, hold on. Well, tell us which you're going to give away.
Okay.
What's our first prize?
The first prize is this set of nice brushes.
Okay, you want me to tell them
Yeah.
about it? Okay. So this set of brushes is exactly what I'm using here. These are by Royal Langnickel. And this is this exact brush. Should I open it up here? Well, no, I guess you can see through the package. I love these. This is a size half right here, which is exactly what I'm using today. And this one is a size 5/8, I believe. Yep. And I use them in the same way for huge stenciling things and great big huge areas. So I'm in love with these brushes. This one is by Royal Langnickel, and it's what I call an oval wash brush. And I use this a lot for base coating, and I actually use these for floating on large areas, believe it or not. Some people only float with flats and angulars. I also use these because it gives a very soft look. And I love 1/2 inch angle brushes, and we'll be using a lot of those today too. So, yay. All right. So, okay.
Denise Renault?
Yep, that's me. Thank you. Yeah,
Denise. So Denise, will you type, do you have a way to type into the chat your mailing address?
yes.
If not, say it out loud to Doreen if you're not scared
could-
about.
I could type it in.
Okay, she'll type it in. All right, here you go. Okay, put that down for Denise. Okay. Woo-hoo-hoo. How exciting. How fun. Have
No,
you,
more brushes.
have you used these brushes before, Denise?
Some of them, not all of them.
Have you used these Modernas right here?
No.
I'm telling you, I can't live
I use
without
them
them.
on everything.
Oh, did you hear Doreen? I converted her. I gave her some of them. I use them on everything. So, okay, yay. I'm happy for you. Sweet. Okay. All right, moving on. Okay, so are we all caught up on the light buttermilk?
Okay, my
Yeah.
address is in there.
Okay.
Bartlett, Illinois. How very exciting. All right. Now, we're all not going to stalk each other, right? If she gives us her address, we're not gonna send her crazy mail or anything. Okay.
Yeah, don't swat me, right? Where they call the police.
Yeah. All right, but maybe we'll send her a Christmas card or something. See, let's think positive here. Okay, so now we're going to switcheroo. Okay, so this brush, a lot of times when I use these brushes, especially if you don't have a lot of them, I don't always immediately wash them out, especially if I'm going to go to another color. How do I highlight myself again? Let's see. Myself. What are you viewing in this? What can you guys see right now as the main picture? Do you see my main gingerbread as the biggest picture?
I see the whole gingerbread.
Do you see Denise's picture large? No? Okay,
Muted.
you're muted,
Denise,
Denise.
you muted.
Oh, I see the large gingerbread.
You don't see yourself large?
No.
Okay. Maybe I just need to try something. Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. How did I pin myself? Pin. I don't know. Hold on. I'm going to remove my pin and now I'm going to repin myself. Does that mean? So? Okay, let me repin myself. I'll do that. You can tell I'm not really great at this. Now, how do we unpin Denise? Not that I don't think she's beautiful.
She wanted you.
Yes, I need to be the star of the show. Oh, what did you do? Did you do something, Denise?
I went to gallery view and then I switched it back. Now, do you see your gingerbread?
I see you and the gingerbread.
Oh,
So,
I went this.
Do what you did a minute ago.
Okay.
So.
You might see me because I'm talking.
Yeah. Okay, so gallery, spotlight for everyone. Let's see. Oh, spotlight for everyone. Remove all pinned videos. Spotlight Sharon Cook for everyone. Or remove all pinned videos. How's that?
I'm
How's this?
I'm just seeing the gingerbread still.
Okay, that's what I want. Okay. All right, so scary video. I mean, scary.
I know.
Okay,
okay.
go ahead and wash this out. The point is, if you only had a few of these brushes, you would not wash it out immediately if you're going to use it soon, but we're not going to reuse this color in this way right now. So go ahead and wash it out. Now we're going to switch to this other stipple brush, if you have it, that's going to leave an airy background. We're still using white buttermilk. If you don't have it, light buttermilk, if you don't have it, use a flat stencil brush. And you're going to have to use it really dry. We're still using light buttermilk, and now we're going to pounce really loosely. I wish I had a dark piece of paper here. Something with some color on it. This brush will leave a much more open texture when you stipple with it. Can you see that? See the difference? Yeah, this is an open, airy brush. And this is the look that you're after.
You don't get a lot of paint out of it?
Yeah, you don't get a lot of paint on it. You dip it in very little, you dry it off, and you want it to look open and splotchy. Now, because we want this to look like texture on our gingerbread, if you're gonna, where's that flat? Where's that other stencil brush I pulled out? If you're gonna use the flat stencil brush, which I had in my hands in like 2 seconds ago. Oh, I put it back. There you go. Hello. I've got to get some more fresh paint. Then I think we can achieve a very similar look, but I think you're going to have to dry it out very, very much. We're going to demonstrate that, and then we're going to have to really pick up the pace here. Okay, I'm going to put some on a flat brush just to test it out, and I'm going to dry the heck out of it. Pounce the heck out of it. And I'm going to pounce softly. You will get a similar look. It's not quite the same. But if you do use a flat brush, that's what you're going to have to do. Take out almost all of the paint. Okay. All right. Moving back along. Now, get some of this on whichever brush you're going to use. And you're going to cover lightly and randomly your gingerbread with some of this texture. Okay. It's going to look really goofy for a while. Trust the process. Trust the process. You're going to get some of this with color all over the place. This is what's going to make it look more like a cookie. Okay. So let's get going on here, moving right along. Try to rotate your brush, move it around so you don't get the same pattern everywhere. You don't have to worry about necessarily going in the extra highlighted places because we already did that the first time around with the light buttermilk. Okay, there's no perfection in here. So I don't want anybody to think, oh, I blew it. We've got layers and layers and layers to go. Light pressure is the key, no matter which brush you're using. Keep the texture open, light, and airy. Make sure you see background below it. You never want to obscure the color underneath. You always want some of that showing through. We don't want to cover up the undertones of our base color. Okay, we're moving right along. This is going quite fast, which is exactly what we want. We're leaving a little bit of bounciness, a little bit of texture. Now, kind of step back, take a look. He needs a little bit more right here. Kind of take overall assessment of where you might need. It looks very different on camera than it does in real life. Now, remember, you've got a nose going here. So if you're not sure, go ahead and place your nose in place. Realize you've got a mouth here and there's going to be some shading. So he looks okay. Let's see, this is, yeah. And on camera, it's kind of opposite of what it is in real life. So I'm looking at it on camera. I'm looking at it, what's down in front of me, and they don't look identical. Okay, over here, it looks a little bit more. Okay, now, I'm going to put a little bit up here. Okay, I have not reloaded my brush because I think I'm fairly satisfied with that. Okay, that did not take much time, which is exactly what we needed. Okay, now we want to do the same thing on our little smally guys. Where'd my little guys go?
Right here.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, on our small guys, we did not worry about the initial stippling because they're so small. We're just going to pounce in a bit of this, and because they are so small, just take it real light pressure. And you probably will have to touch up their little faces again. Normally, if we were not in a class, I would not have put on their eyes and nose until after, because of the touch-up issue. If you do want to clean up as you go, I use Q-tips. Does anyone know about the painting erasers of Q-tips? I call them my magic painting erasers. I dip a Q-tip in water. Let's see. And then I roll it on a paper towel to take out the excess moisture. And then I just use it like a little paint eraser. When the paint's wet, you can scrub off any paint in an area that you don't want to be there. So when I refer to a paint eraser, that is your dampened Q-tip. There's your tip for the day. Paint erasers. If you're not already, if you haven't painted with me before, that might be new. I don't know. But somebody told me that. I don't know who did. So who taught us that one, during?
Sure.
I don't know. Someone in our painting path. Okay, now these guys are also going to have all the shading, etc. So they are really too small for some of the details, so we don't get all wound up about these little fellows. And besides, remember they've got lights that are covering them as well. So we'll just give them a little bit of character here. Splotching right along. They don't need to be perfect. In fact, I don't think there is a perfect cookie. Okay, now do not wash this brush out because we're going to do, I think it's light cinnamon, I think is what my own instructions say. I haven't read my instructions since I wrote the instructions, but in my head, that's what I would do. Then it might not be light cinnamon. Doreen says I don't have light cinnamon. Maybe it was espresso. Oh, maybe it was espresso. This is what happens when you design. You can't remember from day to day what you use, but you're usually drawn to the same colors over and over again. Okay, there we go. All right, I haven't gotten too close around this heart because I'm gonna shade here eventually with the color that I suggested that we didn't have. Okay. There you have it. Exciting. All right. Okay, I believe that in your instructions, I believe I did leave out a step. So write this down in your instructions. Now, here's the thing about being in class. You are my first students, and therefore you are my guinea pigs. The step that I can see that I left off is right after, it's on, if you have your instructions in front of you, mine are in black and white. It is at the bottom of page 3. So at the bottom of page 2. You need to write in right here after this light buttermilk. You need to write espresso. Using the waving stippler, repeat stippling with espresso. So we're going to do the same thing that we just did with light buttermilk, using the same brush, dry. We're not going to wash it out, with espresso. And this is where our cinnamon color comes in. Now, the first couple times that we load this brush, it's going to, of course, appear to be a light brown, right? Because we just had mixed white in it. That's okay. That's going to be just fine. We'll just load it and then offload it a couple of times until we get the color, the intensity that we want. So by offloading, I mean, oh, do you need a pencil or anything? Okay. By offloading it, I mean, we're going to pounce it a few times. It doesn't even look too light brown. You know, I thought it would maybe go tan, but it's pretty good right there. Okay, now see how, let me get rid of that thing right there. Oh, okay. See how fun this brush is? Look how easy it is to get those bristles separated. That is the cinnamon that we want to make. Really super light. Woohoo! All right, going back to your biggie. Okay, you're going to start out light, 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 light. Remember, everything else here is white. So we're going to put dark on here, and it's going to look really dark unless you go soft, okay? Lighten your pressure up, especially the first few times that you pounce. I think I want to take more out of my brush than that. I'm going to go here and take more out. Okay, light. There we go. I'm going to get some cinnamon spots all around here, all over. I took out a little too much. Just experiment a little bit. I can see it on camera now. Inside my room, as I said before, it's very dark. I can't really see true colors here. I'm used to painting with the light directly overhead. And believe it or not, my light broke last night. I've had it for years. Now this one you do not want to get onto your icing, which I just did, which is exactly why we're going to have to touch up after. So pounce some of this cinnamony stuff in and around. We're going to just do it quickly like we did with the other. It's not perfect. It doesn't have to be totally even. Trust me, we're going to be splattering. We're going to be doing a wash. So there isn't really a right or wrong. We're adding some texture Or adding just a look about it that no one will even really realize is there, but just adds to the fun and to the look. I will probably go on the sides eventually at the end of class, maybe. When I go to finish the sides, I won't take time to do this now as I demo everything just for the interest of time. But I would probably repeat all the steps on the sides of my wood, just like I did the first time, because I like everything to look even. About what? Oh, that's right. Doreen's my best friend here. Okay, in this class, I think I did mention it in the email, but we are not going to stop to take a lunch break. But did you read that in your email, everybody? But we'll stop for about 15 minutes for everybody to take a little restroom break, grab something to eat, and we'll just power on through. All right, I'm going to flip him over so I can get to his face a little easier and a little bit down on his neck. Moving on along, blah, 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 blah. We're in happy down. Don't forget to kind of twist and turn your brush so it's not always the same pattern. You want to kind of vary it a little bit. Okay. And that's about it, folks. Don't forget to go to your little guys. Put some on your little guys. And they are pretty little. It won't take very long. So now they're really textured. Look at that. Almost kind of looks polka dot, but it really won't by the time we get the other things on it. I think I want a little bit more on this one leg. This one leg looks a little more shy, a little less color. Okay, a little more pink. I'm excited for the apron. I love the apron stripes. And all of a sudden, when you do the apron, it's like, oh, at least that's what I thought. Okay. All right, switch over to your little fellows. And try not to get these on the paint. Now, I'm going to load this brush a little bit differently for the little guys. I'm going to load it kind of on one side so that I can kind of tip it and keep it off, hopefully, a lot of the detail. I'm not sure how 100% successful that will be, but it might help. It seems to be doing okay. Because it doesn't have to be, right, perfect everywhere. It just needs to be like a hint of color. He's got kind of a dirty little face. It looks like a mud bucket. He's all muddy. A little bit more. Light, 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 light. We've got a little bit on there. We're not going to lose any sleep. If we have to touch up, we've already accepted the fact. That is a reality of our ginger folk here. Okay, almost done. This should not take very long and does not take very long. Speak for myself. Sharon says speak for myself. Oh, how funny. Oh, okay. I'm going to put a little bit here on the top of his head. They look like baldies. Bald eagles. Okay. Now, we're going to have shading on here. And so these guys get really crowded because they're so small. So don't worry about a lot of detail there. Okay. All right. So here we have it. Here's our ginger looking mess. Looks like a mess right now. Okay, I am done with this brush, so I'm gonna go ahead and wash it out now. Make sure you get all your paint out. Excuse me. I think I better take a drink of water. While I am washing the brush. I'm getting a little drunk. I have a tendency to keep yakking, and I forget to drink water, and then I get really dry. Okay, those cut out pieces that I had you use, now they come into play. So, if you have some tape or some double-sided tape, I want you to get your cut out pieces. Thanks for cutting these out for me. And you're going to cover your gingerbread hat. I've just got some regular tape here. I'm just going to roll it and kind of stick it down and do the same thing on my little apron. Or if you got double-sided, which I do have double-sided, you want to use that? Either way. You're just gonna kind of block it. Now, you mainly want it, what we're gonna be doing by doing this is we're gonna splatter the gingerbread. And you're interested in keeping the splatter off of, okay, I'm gonna cut that out because I do want on your gingerbread right here on your apron. Cut out that part. Because you do want
Oh,
the
I did. I didn't on your, sorry.
Okay, no, that's okay. Because you want the splattering to go on the neck. Okay,
Boy, I
so la la la. It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect because you've got your paint eraser to cut out to clean up any splotches, right? Paint eraser. Okay, so taperoo, tape happy, and we'll start splattering. Now, who is comfortable with doing splattering? Raise your hand. Yay, 2 people. Okay. Who has been frustrated in controlling splattering? Raise your hand. Okay, we're about 50-50. It's not a perfect science, but I will tell you some tips that I've learned that have helped me. And so we'll go over all that today. And first thing is always test first. Let me reemphasize that. Always with a capital A, test first before you splatter. The first rule of thumb is the more water you add, the bigger your splats are going to be, okay? The more water you add to your paint, the larger your splats, which can be totally fun if you're doing something that looks, like really splotchy on purpose. Like I did this one design that had a whole background that was done on water splats, and it was really fun. In the case of this, we want our splats to actually look like more texture and more gingerbread. And we're going to not do big. In fact, I'm going to cover my clothing right here with something because I have on black clothes. And I will get spots on it. All right, so we're covered here and we're going to do light buttermilk. And I want you to pick up one of your brushes that have kind of a loose bristle. There are a lot of different kinds of brushes you can use for this, but something with a soft bristle, and if you've got something with a longer bristle, that will actually be kind of nice. You can use like an old flat, one of my favorites. These are kind of my favorites, like brushes like this with longer, soft bristles. You can see how soft that is. Okay, I want you to take some water.
So
And I want-
Sharon,
Yes,
so you don't recommend this brush here? This
yes,
is Linda.
you can use, fans are wonderful.
Okay, all right.
If I put a fan in there because I use fans a lot. These are great. I love fans.
Okay.
And I have an old crusty fan that's ugly as I'll get out. I can't find it. Remember our white fan that I totally love? You know what else are really good? Rakes. This is a oval rake. These are fabulous for splattering too. So anyway, whatever you want. Yes, I love fans for that. So something with loose, soft bristles. Today I'm going to use this one just because. All right, so take some water and you're going to add some water to a small pool of paint. Okay. Now I have added, can you see that? I have probably 3 drops of paint here. Okay. Light buttermilk. And I am kind of using a paint dropper. If you don't have one of these, dip your brush in water and let the water drip off the end of your brush and drip it in like that. But I have this. So I probably add about at least 50-50. Start with 50-50 amount right now. Okay. In different kinds of washes, we're going to do a wash later on today where we're going to use a lot higher concentration of water than we are paint. But for splatter, let's just experiment and start with this kind of 50-50 mix, okay? Now, get something you can practice on. We're going to move our gingerbread out of the way. And we want to test the water. So I'm going to put something here that's color that we can see. I should have brought out some colored paper, but I didn't think of it. So I'm going to have to use a folder. Here we go. I have an orange folder that says Portland, Oregon on it. I'm not sure why I have that one out here. Okay, now go ahead and wet your loose brush that I talked about so that it's plenty wet. And then get another brush with a sturdy handle on. This is just the brush that we use to stipple with. And you're going to dip this brush that you just wet into the paint, which I haven't done yet. And then you're going to hit it on here. And your splatters are going to go onto your Portland, Oregon, or whatever you're using surface. This is our test surface. Okay, so I'm going to dip my wet paint into my wash. Now this is still pretty thick. This still maybe needs more water. It's still mostly paint. In fact, I know it does. I can tell that it's still not watery enough. So let's just drip, drip, drip. Add just a couple more until it's not quite so thickish. Okay. Now I can move it a little bit more. It's a little bit easier to smooth around and it doesn't feel quite so much like thick paint. Now, the brand of paint you're using will make all the difference. Some brands of paint are thicker, some colors are thicker. You're just going to have to kind of get the feel. Now, notice that I have gone like this and taken out most of the paint against the edge. That's so that I kind of have a starting place with my brush. Then I'm going to just dip the tip in a little bit. So I've got a little bit in here. This is just to test what we've got. Okay, I've got paint loaded in the tip, right? And I've got a hard handle to hit against. And you're just going to start by tapping. And that's the look I want. See how those, let me hold it up close to the camera. Can you see how those splats are pretty little? Did that make sense? Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay, if I added more water to this, the splats would be big drips, which is cute for some things, but that's not what we want for gingerbread, okay? So setting this aside, pull out your ginger. which has been masked by paper. And I want you to start, I'm going to put something underneath to protect my here, hold this for a sec. To protect my gray teaching fabric. Gray is the most neutral against most general colors. See how hard white is to teach on? So I have gray. All right, thanks, sorry. I might have to reload my brush. All right. Let me put a little more paint in here. Okay, here we go. Now, holding it above your ginger, you're going to lightly tap, and you're going to get some splotches on your ginger area. If you do get a little bit on your hat or anything that was exposed because it wasn't fully covered in paper, we'll have to touch up. We'll live with that. Or you've got your paint eraser, which you can quickly take off. Now don't put too much on. You just need a little bit of splatter. Isn't that fun? Okay, that's all, folks. Now bring your little fellows in. And go ahead and add some to your little guys. And it may get on your little red hearts there. That's a-okay. Okay, I'm going to take my paint eraser on my little guys. And I'm just going to fix up what I can on their noses and gingerbread because I don't, and their little details because I don't really want to have to do that again. Although I could, but I don't want to if I don't have to. So kind of scrubby doodle what you can. If you can't, you can't. And that'll be okay. All right. I'm going to have to touch up a little bit on the bottom of the apron. Okay, that's it. Now, do the same thing with espresso. Wash out your brush. Add a little bit of espresso to another pool. Add some water. Stir it up. And splatter little cinnamon spots. But let me get all the light buttermilk out of my brush first. Okay, add a few drops of water. Stir it up and see how thick it feels. This one is already thinner than my first batch of white, so that part is good. We'll see if it's too thin. We'll test it first, right? We always test. Always test. All right, pull out my trusty little Portland, Oregon file to test on, or whatever you're testing on. All right, my brush is wet. I'm kind of loading the paint in at first. And this, yeah, this does not feel too thick this time. I had less paint to begin with. I'm dipping the tips in. Gotta get my other brush ready. Okay, now let's test it on here. Hold on, my paper's getting in the way. Okay, I like that. Okay, there's our cinnamon sprinkles. If you can see that. Okay, let's go ahead and cinnamon our gingerbread. Here we go, cinnamon. Now, I don't like it covering my white too much. So I'm wiping. We already know we're going to touch up some. But for now, I'll lift off what I can. It'll just save me a little grief later on. Okay. Now we're going up here. Cinnamon, cinnamon. Cinnamon spots. Cinnamon spots. These spots are a little bit bigger than my white ones, my gingerbread one, my light buttermilk ones. Okay, moving on to the face. Okay. How's everybody's splats coming? Give me a thumbs up or down. I don't see any thumbs. I see busy people. Okay. All right. So there's my biggie. Let's pull out my little guy. I'll just leave him right there. Are they in camera? Not only partially in, but you get the idea. Okay, fellows, here we come. Our little guys are getting splatty. Cinnamon spots. Cinnamon spots. Okay, now notice I haven't even reloaded my paint. Look how small my splats are. Okay. Now, just for the purpose of demo, let's set these aside for a minute. Is that, let's add a little bit more water just so you can see. This is the problem that most people have when they try to splatter. I've added more water to this. And this will be brown just so that you can see. This is the frustration that many people have when they splatter. They just turn out big and ugly like that or bigger, right? That's because you have too much water in your paint, okay? Just FYI. Okay, are we ready for drying? Was that the,
3 minutes.
oh, 3
We can
minutes.
go now. Yeah.
You want, yeah, let's go
Can we do
now.
a drawing?
Yeah, let's do a drying while this cinnamon dries for a minute. Because we need to do our next step as a wash. Right. Okay, what's our next prize-a-roo?
Good one.
Oh, yay. Okay. Okay. Let me move this stuff first because it's kind of splotty. Okay, our next prize is one that is really, really helpful. General Pencil, of course, makes pencils that a lot of artists draw with all kinds of colors. Erasers, kneaders. This is a very good drawing pencil for doing layout there. This is their mainstay pencil that they use. But the thing that I am so, oh, I can get rid of this paper now. Okay. The thing that I am so totally in love with is this bar of soap. This soap is called the Masters. You may have heard of it. Has everybody heard of it before? It's very ugly when you open it up. Like, just giving you a fair warning. It's kind of a dark gray and you'll think, what on earth? But honestly, this soap takes out dry paint out of your brushes. Whoa, it's awesome. So you would just wet your brush when you go to use it, and then you'd wipe across like a cake of soap and then take it to your hand. And this is very, very good. It takes out dye, clay, grime, red clay, stains, paint, ink. So win, win, win. So whoever wins this, you are a lucky dog. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Close your eyes.
Leslie Pilcher.
Leslie, where are you? Woohoo. Oh, good. Yay. Okay, Leslie, do you mind typing your address in on the chat for us? That'd be great. And then we'll send it to you. How exciting. Okay, that was it for the cutout. So go ahead and remove those. We're done with those. But you can see that that saved us a lot of grief on the splattering. We do have a little bit of touch up that that we'll do when it comes time to do the apron here. But not much. I have a couple on the hat, but not too bad. Kind of saved our bacon.
Yeah, I don't know if she's on. Is she didn't?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Leslie, can you access the chat? Can unmute yourself.
I'm doing it right now. Let's see.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. That's fine. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do some shading. Oh, one thing I'd like to do, this is just because I am slightly OCD. I have these wet washes here and I don't like them spilling, so I just mop them up right now. Then I don't have to worry about them splattering and splashing all over anything. That's just me. You don't have to. But then they're out of the way and they're not going to spill. Okay. Now we need our espresso. We're going to start floating to shade and we're going to do this really fast. We just need to shade around our gingerbread man and then we will do a wash. Leslie, are you in California? Okay, let's see. Leslie?
Yes, I am in California.
Okay.
So is it Fallsbrae Road?
Yes.
Okay, it just says Fallsbrae Rod.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's road.
It's
Okay.
okay. And Fallbrook, California.
Mhm.
Okay, yay. All right. All right, so does anybody float with a wet palette? Raise your hand if you know what that is. Okay. I'm going to be using a wet palette today. I won't necessarily explain it unless you would like me to. So that's what I'm going to use to prepare my floats on. Does anybody need an explanation or want one? Okay, great. All right. So we're working with espresso and we're going to just start. Let's see, I'm kind of trying to manipulate between a palette and a mouse and a camera. So let me just get oriented here. We're going to just start shading around our gingerbread man to separate his body. We're going to accent his face details. I may have to redraw mine on because I can't see them very well now. Okay, I'm going to start by floating underneath the apron, all the way across the top of the legs. Let's get that. I'm using a 3/4 inch angular. You can use what you'd like. I prefer larger brushes for floating, but it's totally up to you. I also like the 1/2 inch. I'll probably be using those on some of the face details as well. I'm going to bounce back and forth between the face and the hands and so forth so that the stuff can dry. Oh, well, do not set your gingerbread in your pile of paint like I just did. That will never work out well. I gotta move my little ginger guys. Okay, you're gonna float next to all of your icing. So this is again another reason why we will need touch-ups here at the end. Again, your floating doesn't have to be perfect, even, because we're going to go over this with the wash. The wash of color will not make everything perfect, but it will kind of hide a lot of things. You'll be very surprised at how forgiving it will be. And it will tie all the colors together. Now, right now, it does not look gingerbread color, right? It looks more like, I call it burnt sugar cookie. But we're going to fix that because we're going to be putting a thin color of Georgia clay over all of it, which may sound odd, but it will work in the end. Okay, right now, I'm just going around all the gingerbread icing, and I may bounce back and forth between details on the face. It's okay. And I went over too much of the icing there, so I need my little eraser. I don't like the way that looks. We'll use our stencils again at the end to touch up our icing quickly. And I don't like this float too much. It needs to be stronger. You can decide. Gonna have to make them even. I think Doreen's holding her breath over here. I hear her
Me
going,
too.
I hear her going, "Hmm." But I have to tell her to breathe. We can't have her passing out on us over here. She's my sidekick. I need her. Besides that, I kind of like her anyway. I know everyone's so quiet. I guess because I've stopped jabbering, huh? I talk like nonstop. Blah, 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 blah. Are we still recording? I have to get freaked out. Are we still recording? Yay! Okay. I do not. I do not want to have to repeat. Oh my gosh, I'll be up till 1 in the morning if I had to do that. Been there, done that. Been there, done that. So what happens with these classes is, I think I said this at the beginning, but just so that everyone knows, it records in the Zoom cloud, and then Zoom it when you stop it like downloads, and depending on the length of the class, and depending, I guess, on your download speed, how fast your computer is, it takes a little while to get it all downloaded. And then you have to save it wherever you're going to save it. I'm going to save it on my hard drive and then on my external hard drive. And then I'll put it on YouTube on a special channel just for you guys. And I'll send you guys a link to the video. Does that all make sense? And then it'll be there for 90 days before it comes down. So it won't be immediate right after class. It'll take me some time to get it downloaded, saved, uploaded, to get a link for you. Just trying to help you understand how it will work. So, it'll probably happen today, by the end of today, but if anything goes wrong, then it'll be tomorrow. So I hope everybody's good with that. I haven't looked up. Is everybody good with that? Okay. All right. Now, some of the floating I have to go over twice because I'm not loving it, but that's okay. Like I said, you'll be surprised when we put this little wash over it, how forgiving it is. Yeah. How about if we wait for a half hour and we'll take a little potty break for a minute? Is everybody good with that? Thumbs up. Okay. Yes, our water will be dirty by then too, because we'll have used a lot of brown paint. So I'm going to go underneath the chin here. That's one thing we can't forget to shade, right underneath the head here. So we can separate that. I have a tendency to pull my painting right up close to my body. If that happens, somebody unmute themselves and tell me, okay? Tell me that I'm off camera. That does happen when I get into the details, and I know that about myself. You're going to go against the apron. It's kind of fun the way the apron kind of pops out once you get some dark against it, like that. Kind of changes the way it looks. In fact, the whole thing. Now, we've got all this darkness going on because we did all those splotches. And what you'll notice is that once you get this, like a whole area shaded with dark around it, it kind of frames it all. It kind of encompasses it all and makes it look complete, like it belongs there. I'll show you what I mean in just a minute when I get these arms done. It looks like the color always belonged there in the first place. I don't know, does that make sense? Doreen says, yeah. Thank you for giving me some feedback. I'm talking to no one. Just chattering whatever pops in my head. Which actually may be a little scary. Scary. I think Doreen's getting a ton of texts over here. If you hear a fun little ding. Oh, all right. So we're coming along. We're coming along. Gonna go around a little bit more on her gingerbread head. Okay. And some of these deeper parts, I'm gonna deepen that just slightly where it indents a little bit. It goes a little bit more deep. Flatten my brush a little bit wider. Right up under there. And those that one already is. Make these areas are just a little bit wider, just under the head. Make these corners a little bit bigger. We'll talk about those in just a minute. We'll talk about our corners in just a minute. Let's just concentrate on getting everything, I guess, framed in. Might be a good word. With brown. And we'll have to do the same thing with our little fellows with a smaller brush. This part takes the longest, but it's so necessary to the look of the cookie. Now, I also do the sides. We're not going to do that here in class because of time, but that's something you can do before you varnish when you get your cookie done. Now, even though we did some highlighting, I'm still going a little bit around this. I am still going around the sides. Am I what, Doreen?
Oh, you are. You just
Yeah.
haven't got there yet. I was doing the feet. And
Yeah.
doing-
I'm going to. I just haven't done them yet.
Mm.
Yep. So perfect. Just keep going around everything. First time around, just go around everything. And then we'll go back and I'll tell you some places that we need to deepen and darken a little bit. So on the chest, next to the apron, I had gone underneath the chin. And now I'm going to go here next to the apron. I'll come back when that dries and I'll catch the sides of the apron. All right, I'm probably going to have to draw the detail because I cannot see on the face. But I am going to go around the eyes. That much I know for sure. And I'm going to do probably pretty dark around the eyes. I'll wait for that one to dry before I do the other eye. And you're going to, if you can see your smile, you're going to want to go below your smile, which I cannot see. So I'm going to have to draw that on. I won't do my face for a minute so I can draw that on. Okay, this is not quite dry. I'll go down and do my legs down here. Now don't forget to do your little ginger fellows. If you get done with your big one, go down to your little guys. And when the hands meet, we'll talk about where the hands meet, but start doing your little fellows too. This one's a little too wet. Need a little more paint, I think. Full firm. In a minute, that would be dry enough that I can draw the face details on. Well, I just got a notification on my watch from quote unquote the post office that they couldn't deliver a package because of a invalid zip code. How many of those spam notifications have you guys got this year? Tons? I have got probably 5 or 6 of those so far within the last couple weeks.
But they don't have your correct address.
Yes, and click on this link and yeah. I mean, wow, it's pretty bad. All the fraud that can occur if you're not aware.
We get them for the, in Illinois, they call it iPass. It's like your toll road thing. And a couple months back, they, sent out texts and it was a really good one because a lot of people fell for it. But I just got another one yesterday.
So what did it tell you? What did it say?
It's so like when you're on the toll road, you have an iPass that pays your tolls for you, and so they'll send you an text saying, oh, that your toll didn't go through, and you need to click this link to pay it, and people do.
Ah, we don't have tolls here in Utah, so that would be, I'd probably do that because I wouldn't know.
Well, you wouldn't have iPass. I mean, they specifically target people in Illinois for this one.
Wow.
But
Wow.
when they did the first one, a lot of people thought it was real.
Yeah, well, how would you know? I mean, so is your iPass something that kind of renews every month or something like that?
Yeah, so you have like a limit on it. So like mine, when it falls below $20, it'll replenish for another $20.
Uh-huh.
So, but it was sometimes, it doesn't work
Oh, yeah.
occasionally, not very often, but usually the tollway in Illinois will go and search your plate and charge your iPass for it then. But they sent one out a couple months ago that was for $7.12 and everybody got one. And people were like, what? And I thought that's a really weird amount. But people opened it and they had problems.
Wow. So what's a typical toll amount, just out of curiosity?
Well, in Illinois, a lot.
A lot? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how many tolls are on a tollway. Some, there's one tollway that goes from where I live to O'Hare Airport, and there's a lot of tolls, but they're like 25 cents, 20 cents, but they add up.
Oh, yeah.
And then sometimes they're 50 cents, 75 cents. It just depends where they are.
So going from your house to work or whatever could cost you $10 or something?
Oh, sure. When my husband used to take that toll road to work, it used to cost us all the time. But I don't take the toll to work. But we use it to get to places because it's convenient, you know.
The what place?
To different places, we use it
Oh,
because it's
oh.
convenient and, you know, but yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he goes to he travels a lot, so he goes to the airport and it is easier to take the